So, welcome to the podcast. A guy is really quite interesting, and you're about to find out why. Mr. Graeme Peters, how are you, sir?
I'm very well, thank you very well. Thanks for having me on.
Good. Well, we had to have you on because you kind of been involved in a bit of an interesting project from the drumming world, and we're going to talk about that coming up, actually. But first of all, I want to let you introduce yourself. First of all, do you want to give a bit of your piping and drumming background?
Yes, quite a lot. Yeah. So obviously my name's Graeme Peters. I have been competing for a while. Started off in kind of grade 4B in Preston Pans. I've worked my way through, played most grades so far, and do a lot of teaching nowadays. So teaching's mostly what I do just now. I'm involved in, or I have been involved in a lot of schools. I'm now involved in a Queen Victoria School, and I'm involved in the Army Cadet Force. On the national training team there, and I run Alba, which is what you're about to talk about soon as well. So yeah, quite a lot of kind of different avenues there.
Excellent stuff. So you have been involved in the competitive piping and drumming scene, as
Yeah,
well as piping and drumming in the military,
yeah,
basically.
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. How do you find the two worlds kind of intermingle with each other?
They're two separate worlds, I think. I mean, they are two completely different things, but like you say, they do kind of cross paths quite a bit. There are years gone by. The military has had a phenomenal amount of pipers, that have come through the ranks and
Yeah.
been absolutely phenomenal pipers. There hasn't been that many phenomenal drummers that have come out. There have been a few, don't get me wrong. Mick O'Neill being one, John Moneagle, a few others. There's quite a few, but not anywhere near as many drummers, I would say. So they do intermingle. There's a lot of kind of tuition, a lot of kind of hard work that goes on to train your drummers in the military and whatever else. But I think there's ways that it could improve, I would say.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and if anything, we know that a lot of military pipe bands have been involved in competition themselves and have been quite successful,
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
not as if the playing is any way substandard at all. It's possibly up there with some of the higher echelons for sure.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm not disagreeing with that at all. Yeah, I think there's a lot of phenomenal musicianship going on in the army. The only issue the army has is really 9 times out of 10 it's when the hierarchy don't understand what it's all about, and they
Ah,
you know they move pipe bands about and they move
yeah.
individuals about, and that's when it becomes obviously a bit tricky. But if the military was to get its act together in terms of you know understanding what its pipe bands do and what they're all
Mhm.
about, then I think the military could be a force to be reckoned with.
There you are. I'd have to agree. Yeah, and who knows? We may see more actual military bands in competition in future. Who knows? But Graham, I have to talk to you about your tuition and everything. You're involved heavily with teaching drumming at the moment. Do you
Mm.
want to tell us then a bit about your teaching credentials and stuff and what you're involved in?
Sure, no problem at all. So, started off years ago. I was on a job in Germany, and a big friend of mine, Andy Gray, was going to approach me and said, "I'm looking for a drumming instructor. Do you know anyone that's in Edinburgh?" And I hadn't really taught at the time, and I was kind of thinking, who do I know in Edinburgh at the time?
Hmm.
And I must have sat there for about 3 or 4 days. I was living in Perth at the time,
Hmm.
and it was about 3 or 4 days in this job, and it suddenly clicked. Hey, I could do that.
There you
I'm
go.
involved in drumming. I can do these kind of things. So I got myself involved in that school, and I was travelling down from Perth into Edinburgh, getting the train, and it was a horrendous journey. It was horrible, but I really loved doing it, and it was really kind of a rewarding
Mm.
job to do, kind of seeing the kids progress, and we ended up getting the kids out and getting competing for the first time and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. And it was really really exciting. And I think I just sort of got the bug, I got a taste for it, and I realised what was potentially out there. Ended up getting like hundreds of drummers almost at the school, and just started kind of pumping them out pretty much.
Mm.
Um, and then all these other opportunities started to arise, and got involved in Glenalmond College. I've been involved in a lot of the Piping and Drumming Trust. Been involved in a few of those projects, the Vale of Athol and Balerno schools and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, so there's been quite a lot of different projects.
That's it. You've been quite a busy man, Graham, if you don't mind me saying. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue I've had has been too many projects really, and I'd rather sometimes kind of
Yeah.
consolidate it all into one area. That would be a good thing to do, I think.
That's
Yeah.
indeed. Now, my first introduction to yourself personally is whenever you were in charge of the Vale in grade 3B and then
Sure.
up to 3A. Are you still involved with the guys at the Vale?
Not so much, not so much. I'm still good friends with all the guys in the band and all the guys that were in the band at the time when I was the leading drummer there. But yeah,
Hmm.
not as much. I do now and again get a wee phone call or a wee kind of text and say kind of how you doing? It'd be good to have you back and all that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
it's just a bit of a journey for me nowadays.
No, that's it
But
indeed. Yeah, because well, I have to get into Alba rhythm then. In that case, we're talking about your online, your tuition and stuff with various schools and stuff, but you're doing a lot online.
yeah.
I think for those of you who are watching the video actually on our YouTube channel, you're actually going to see the website right now. But do you want to describe to folks then listening to the podcast right now, what is algorithm? What is this?
So essentially, through the years of teaching and whatever else, I've realised that there's very little in the way of educational materials for drummers. There's very
Hmm.
little out there. You know, you've got the PDQB syllabus, which is great. It's though the update that it's just had recently has definitely improved it, absolutely. But I just thought there's very little in the way of educational material to help teach drummers. You know,
Yeah.
of everyone that over the years I've just seen people learning one to one in a band, play this, play that, and there's very little structure. So I've just tried to create a kind of a structure in which what I could teach, you know, and make my life so much easier as an instructor. You know, having that kind of syllabus that I can work through, and it makes my pupils' life so much easier as well, knowing exactly what it is they need to do. They've got that sort of that structure available that they can just follow the syllabus, and then they just gradually progress through that. You know,
There you go. So essentially, what you're offering here is like a structured syllabus. We're looking at the website here now, and we see some of your best sellers. There's actually 3 levels, but you're mentioning that there's 8 levels in total. And now
so
these are books that can be used by both people who are learning, but also tutors who are teaching at the moment, and they can use this for their students. Not right?
absolutely, yeah, and I think it's been a great tool for me. I mean, obviously, I'm a bit biased because I wrote the stuff, but it genuinely has been a great tool because I can easily just set targets. Here's play this page, play that page. You know, here's all the what I call the building blocks. Learn the rudiments, learn the fundamentals, or work on the technique exercises. There's music theory in there. You know, there's an absolute ton of just different things that you would need as a drummer in all of
Yeah.
the levels. So this it kind of covers quite a bit, and it just means that all I need to do is set targets for my drummers, and they can just sit and work through it on their own. I can just guide them through what they're doing, and it just makes my life as an instructor far easier. You know.
There you go. And any instructor for that matter. Yeah. So the reason why I'm particularly interested in this is because, like you say, there's been very limited kind of online tuition sources for drummers at the moment. And syllabuses like this haven't really existed before. And this is something that's really quite unique. So how many levels have you guys got on offer on your site at the moment? I can see there's 3 different levels here at the moment, but is there any further than that?
Currently, there is three. The level 4 book is pretty much finished, to be honest. I'm just the way I've kind of structured it is I don't really take any profit from the money that comes in from the books. The way that I work it is they are on the slightly more expensive side, but the idea is it costs me about £6 to print the book. So I'm taking £6 for the book itself, £6 for the reprint of that book, and then £6 of it helps to print the next book. You know, so the money that comes in is essentially just paying for the
Helping to
next
fund
level
the
of
next
books, if that
level.
makes
Yeah.
sense. So I've almost got it to a state in which it's going to supporting itself, and it's just going to keep paying for the next levels and the next levels. And obviously there's the website hosting and all that kind of stuff as well that's
Yeah,
involved in it. So
that's it
it's
that we
not
all have, indeed. Yeah.
it's
But
not
what I'm really interested in, Graham, is with each book that is here at the moment, we have 3 books available, but we also have videos, we have a drum score library, there's all sorts of theory worksheets, and a Facebook group and stuff. There seems to be a serious amount of content in and around the syllabus as well. You know, it's not just the book. You don't just purchase the book and that's you done. Seems to be a
absolutely.
whole load of other stuff available here as well.
Yeah, well, I'm still kind of working on putting a lot of it together. I've made the mistake of trying to do it all myself, and that's
Oh
been
no.
a massive problem. Years ago, I kind of had a few people helping me out, and then I suddenly started to find a lot of the content that I was doing online that these people were sharing around with their friends and whatever else, and I thought, you know what, I could easily sell digital downloads and all that kind of stuff, but it just means that everyone would then have access to absolutely everything, and then I wouldn't be able to produce any more because I wouldn't have the money coming in for it. So I kind of took the rogue approach of doing it all myself, and I've bitten off far too much, and you know, far too much work for myself. But I'm slowly kind of getting through it. I'm getting through the levels. As I say, the level 4 book's pretty much finished. I just need to just kind of tidy that up a little bit and then get that published as well.
Yeah, so
Um,
I think this is honestly, it's an incredible resource for both people who are learning, you know, and new to the whole drumming theory, but also for tutors, and they can hand this out to your pupils and say, here, we'll work our way through book one, book two. I honestly think it's invaluable. Another thing, Graham, I'm interested in is these piping recordings. Now,
Sure,
are
yeah.
these available then, obviously to purchase through your site, but you can use them whenever you're competing in the likes of online solos and stuff like that?
Absolutely, yeah. So that's been a big thing for us recently is the whole online thing. With everyone being in lockdown and all that kind of stuff, it's been an
Yeah.
absolute, terrible year for piping and drumming, really.
Mm.
Although I have to say the one good thing that has come out of it is I think we have moved, as as a group of people to like forward in using the whole technology side of things. I think we've done really well to do that. Um, so I think I've just kind of taken that on board, and there's actually Rachel approached me and said, "Listen, like I want to get involved. How can I help you, and what can I do?"
Mhm.
And I thought, kind of piping lessons isn't really kind of. It's not that I don't want to offer it as such, but it's more about the whole drumming side of things just now.
Yeah.
She says, "Well, how's about I try and help your drummers and offer some sort of kind of piping service in which you can have these recordings." And I thought, that's
Mhm.
actually a really, really good idea, So
Yeah.
I thought it was a phenomenal idea. So yeah, she's very kindly volunteered to offer her services, and yeah, we've bitten our hand off for that,
It
I think
is.
it's a
It's
great
it's
thing of
fantastic for sure.
yeah,
Because that's one thing, honestly, from a solo drummer perspective,
yeah,
finding a piper is
yeah,
deadly hard. I don't know. It's so difficult. So to have this available through your site is honestly, it's a godsend for some drummers. So
absolutely. Mm.
there's also not just for snare drumming. There's bass and tenor on here as well.
Yeah.
So it covers all aspects of pipe band drumming. So honestly, I think it's fantastic. It's an incredible website. You have to go and check it out, folks, if you're listening right now. Also, for the folks watching the video, go and browse the site at your own leisure. I didn't click on everything there. Go and have a view at it. So, Graham, what does the future hold for yourselves then at Alba Rhythm? How do you see
Um,
the site growing?
so absolutely. So I'm looking to finish off the syllabus mainly. That's my kind of my first goal. But at the same time, through my work in teaching snare, I also end up kind of doing a lot of tuition on the tenor and bass and things like that as well.
Hmm.
Absolutely not a tenor drummer whatsoever. But I get sort of roped into these things far too easily. I struggle to say no sometimes, so I end up kind of doing a little bit of stuff. Through that though, a friend of mine, Vicky Paul, she's very kindly helped. Oh, sorry, offered her services to help put some tenor content together. So I'm actually working on putting together the first tenor drumming book as well.
Oh, right. There's
Um,
another book coming out for tenors too.
that's the plan, yeah. So it's still
Ah,
a work in progress just now, but we're putting that together, and it's going to be following the exact same structure from the books. All the music theory is going to be the same across the board. All the technique exercises. There's going to be slightly different for the tenor, obviously, but a lot of it kind of ties in together. But there's a lot of obviously visual visual work being done for the tenors.
yeah.
So I'm just working on setting up how we're going to translate that from a kind of book to the kind of video format, so you can actually see the flourishes going on,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff as well. So that's a bit of a project that's going on just now as well. But yeah, right now it's really just trying to finish off the books, finish off the syllabus, and offer as much as I possibly can. As I was saying, I've realised that I've taken on quite a lot of work myself. So I'm at the process now, but I'm looking at taking people on board and taking ideas on board and asking for a bit more kind of help around that kind of aspect, and getting
Yeah.
more educational materials together, and kind of getting some more drum scores together and all that kind of stuff, just to create a big library of stuff that people can use, because it's so hard to kind of come across the right material for the
It is.
particular level you're at. There's so many people, absolute phenomenal drummers, that are doing things online just now, but at the same time, these phenomenal drummers are doing phenomenal things, and if you're not at that level yet, are you going to learn much from that?
Yeah, that's it
Um,
indeed. Yeah.
so not that
Mm.
I'm dismissing what they're doing. I think what they're doing is fantastic, but I think we just need to try and bridge that gap a little bit and try and offer as much as we can to everyone at every stage, and that's what I'm trying to do just now.
Indeed. So this brings you right from grassroots, how to hold a pair of sticks in the first place,
Absolutely.
all the way through the hornpipe jig,
Aye,
all of
absolutely, yeah,
that.
that's what we're doing. We've even started off with it kind of. I'm structuring the books in a way that you start off with level one is just learning the basics. Level two you're starting to kind of develop on the basics and then put that into context and drum scores and phrases, just really basic stuff. But you're only really learning how to play a march. But on the website there, I'm just about to start uploading an absolute ton of drum scores that I've got ready for it as well. but we're talking like strathspeys, reels, hornpipes, all that kind of stuff, but just really, really basic
Yeah.
scores, so that if there's anyone at that level who just happens to be playing these tunes, then they've got some drum scores they can use, or
And they
they've
can
got
use
stuff
those.
that they can help
Yeah.
help them along
Graeme,
the way,
it's
you know.
fantastic. Honestly, I've been browsing through the site now for a while. I know we just did briefly there on our video, but seriously, go and have a look at the website yourselves, guys, listening to this, and obviously in the video. There's a wealth of material on there for drummers. And just in case you may not be aware of Alba Rhythm, go and check it out. And as you've just heard, there'll be more from them in future. Graeme, thanks so much for chatting to us on the show, mate. I really appreciate your
Thanks for
time.
having me on. It's much appreciated.
And keep up the great work, mate. We'll be
Sure
chatting
thing.
to you again in future, I'm sure.
Will do. Thank you.
Thanks.
Cheers. See you later.